All right, I'm gonna be making a quick little bench press tutorial video on how we coach the barbell bench press. So just a few things before we actually do anything in just terms of your setup. So at the gym, we've got a squat rack where we pull in a bench. At your standard commercial gym, they'll probably have a bench press with pre-fixed setups. For us, we have to make sure our bench is centered. Right, so we always do a little foot check here where I put my foot here, put my foot over here, make sure the distance from my foot to the bench is equal. And then the next step is that I typically make sure my J-cups are at the correct height. What's the correct height? Well, if you go to unrack the bar, and if you unrack and the bar is standing this far above the J-cups, that's about 6, 7, 8 inches, too high. Right? We should only, if we go to unrack the bar and we fully extend our arms, get, I don't know, something between like 1 to 3 inches above the J-cups, right? Remember, these are the J-cups, the things that hold the bar. But again, at a commercial gym, a standard bench press setup usually has pre-fixed J-cups where you won't be able to move them. So just make sure you select, usually they might have 2 or 3 options, make sure you select the correct height. All right, so we got our setup good. We're ready to go. So what do? All right, typically, just like the squat, we roll the bar to the edge of the J-cups this way, right? So we don't want it back here. We want it here. This way, it's a little easier to unrack the bar. There's a less likelihood of you actually clipping the J-cups on the way out, okay? So, positioning. First thing, when we're getting under the bar and the bar's at the edge of the J-cups, we want roughly your nose or eyes under the bar, right? So if I'm back here, I'm gonna be way too far back. Imagine my bench is further back, right? And when I'm actually going to press, right, I'm gonna press up into the J-cups, right? If your eyes or nose are under the bar, that's a good distance. And then if you're too far this way, right, you have to pull the bar too far out of the J-cups. It's too much work. It's a harder position on the shoulder, right? Inefficient. So we want eyes or nose under the bar. For me, this is pretty good. Right? From here, we want to set up our hands once again, just like I taught you with squat, right? And deadlift, there are markers on the bar. In this case, we're going to use the rings instead of the knurling line, right? And typically, we have people set up about an inch in, right, from the first ring. Usually, there's 2 sets of rings, right? So an inch in from the first ring, and then we're going to adjust grip accordingly. Grip width will vary a lot. So I'm here. We always wrap our thumbs around the bar, always on barbell bench press. It's just safer and it makes more sense. From there, what do we want? Okay, so now let's sit up. What do we want? We want to press from the safest position possible for our shoulder. So what we found is the best position is our shoulder, right? It's super mobile, right? It goes up, shoulder can come down, shoulder can come back, and it can come forward, right? Super mobile. This is a good thing. In the case of the bench press, bad thing. We want our shoulder, for the safest, most stable position possible, to pull our shoulder blades together and down. So we pull them down and together. When I am lying down, right, this is me just passively lying down, okay? For most people, right, there's not much room under their back, right? You might even have your lower back touch the bench. What we want is we want to pull our shoulder blades, like I said, together and down. And that all of a sudden creates this natural arch where my hand can slide underneath, right? That should give you a general indication of that you're in a good position, right? For most people, you should be able to slide that hand underneath. Remember, we are not arching our back for the sake of arching our back. For us, we are trying to put our shoulder in the most efficient, safe position possible, and that's pulling the shoulder blades down and together. Throughout the bench press, we want our shoulder to remain in that position, and I'll tell you what, or show you what I mean after this. Our feet, typically we want back, right? So we want our feet back. We don't want our feet hanging out passively out here. Typically what I see often is when people do heavy lifts or when they get towards failure, these legs start kicking out in front of them, right? And all of a sudden people kind of go off balance while they're bench pressing. We want these feet tucked in tight. Whether you're on your toes or flat-footed in tight, it doesn't matter to me, okay? We just want them in tight. All right, so let's go ahead. Barbell to the edge, grip set. I set my shoulder blades into the bench, thumbs are wrapped, and I carefully pull the bar out of the J-cups. I'm going to pull it this way, all right? Instead of pressing it out, I am pulling it out. That's a key distinction, right? For some people, they might do one of these and push their shoulders forward. We don't want that. We want to keep the shoulder back. Okay, that's very important. So, once again, I pull it out of the J-cups. I patiently get to the position I want to be, right? So I don't want to press from here. I don't want to press from here. I want to make sure I get to the correct position. I come down to roughly the bottom of my sternum, somewhere below the nipple line for most people. We don't want to be up here. We don't want to be down here. Somewhere about here, right? Then I press the bar back up like so. As I am going through the press, I am making sure my shoulders stay into the bench and I don't press the shoulders up, right? The whole time my shoulders are into the bench. When I am done, I'm going to carefully bring the bar back to the J-cup and in. And that is the barbell bench press.